Early retirement is a dream that appeals to a lot of people. The idea of being financially free, not tied down to a 9 to 5 job, and having the time to pursue hobbies or travel sounds amazing. With the growing popularity of the FIRE movement, more and more people are trying to figure out how to quit work well before the usual retirement age, but retiring early isn't as simple as it seems. A lot of people make mistakes along the way that can put their early retirement plans at risk. In this video, we'll look at the most common mistakes people make when trying to retire early. Stick around because some of these are critical to an enjoyable retirement. One of the biggest mistakes people make when planning for early retirement is underestimating how much things will cost in the future. Sure, when you're no longer commuting to work or buying lunch out every day, you might think your expenses will drop, but that's not always true. Some costs can actually go up, especially healthcare. In countries like the US, where health insurance is often provided by employers, retiring early means having to find and pay for your own coverage, which can be really expensive. Another thing many people forget is inflation. Over time, the cost of everything from groceries to rent tends to go up. For homeowners, they need to keep in mind that large ticket items such as roofs and HVAC will eventually need replacing. If you're planning to be retired for 30 or 40 years, you have to account for how much more expensive life might get. Even though the Federal Reserve aims to keep inflation rates around 2%, things don't always work out as planned, which is why it's wise to have a little flexibility when it comes to expected future costs. Not planning for rising costs can leave you struggling to maintain the lifestyle you envisioned in retirement. A lot of people going for early retirement assume their investments will keep growing at strong rates, but that's not guaranteed. Sure, over the long haul, the stock market tends to grow, like the S&P 500 has historically averaged over 10% per year, but it can also be super volatile. There are years when you might see little to no growth, or even losses, and if you hit a rough patch in your early retirement, it could seriously impact how long your savings will last. The 4% rule is a popular guideline suggesting that withdrawing 4% of your savings each year should allow you to live comfortably without running out of money. But it's based on past market performance, and there's no guarantee the market will behave the same way going forward. If you're too optimistic about your returns and pull out too much money too soon, you could burn through your savings faster than expected. It's better to play it safe. Instead of banking on high returns, aim for more conservative estimates and make sure your investments are diversified. That way, if the market drops, you've got other assets to fall back on. A solid mix of stocks, bonds, and maybe even real estate can help protect your money during tough times, so you're not caught off guard by market swings. Forgetting about taxes can be a huge issue. Taxes can be a big surprise for people who retire early. If you're withdrawing money from tax-deferred accounts like 401ks or IRAs, you're likely going to owe income taxes on those withdrawals. Plus, if you take money out of those accounts before age 59 and a half, you might also face penalties. Withdrawing from a taxable brokerage account might be tax-free depending on your income bracket, but taking money from these accounts could also incur significant tax burdens. Many people forget that taxes don't just go away when you stop working. If you're not careful, taxes can eat up a larger portion of your retirement income than you expect. To avoid this, you need to plan your withdrawals strategically. For instance, converting some of your tax-deferred savings into a Roth IRA while you're in a lower tax bracket can help reduce future taxes. Many people don't realize that you can withdraw contributions to a Roth IRA anytime without penalty, while other accounts aren't quite as lenient. Even though taxes aren't the most fun thing to plan and discuss, ignoring the tax side of things could really hurt your financial situation during retirement. Many people focus on the financial side of early retirement, but the psychological aspect is just as critical. When you stop working, you're not just leaving behind a paycheck, you're also letting go of a routine, a sense of purpose, the daily interaction with your coworkers, and possibly a large part of your identity. Without a clear plan for how to spend your time, early retirement can feel unstructured and aimless. Before retiring, 40 or more hours per week were spent dedicated to your work routine, getting ready, commuting, and working, while the remaining hours were spent tackling personal tasks in your free time. As a result, retirees are left with a huge void to fill, and filling such an empty space is easier said than done. Some early retirees experience boredom or even depression because they didn't fully consider what they do after leaving the workforce, or overestimated their ability to keep busy. Whether it's traveling, volunteering, exploring new hobbies, or starting a passion project, having a plan to stay engaged and fulfilled is essential. Early retirement should be about more than just quitting your job. It should focus on creating a meaningful and enjoyable life. One of the most significant yet overlooked mistakes people make is not fully understanding why they want to retire early in the first place. It's easy to get swept up in the idea of financial freedom, escaping the grind, or following the crowd and the FIRE movement. However, without a clear, personal reason for pursuing early retirement, you might find yourself feeling unfulfilled or restless once you reach that milestone. Some people assume that retiring early will automatically lead to happiness and contentment, but they often fail to ask themselves the deeper questions. What are you retiring to? What will your life look like once you no longer have the structure and purpose that work provided? If your only motivation is to stop working because it's stressful or exhausting, you might be disappointed when retirement doesn't immediately solve those feelings. Early retirement needs to be about more than just quitting your job. It should be driven by a desire to live a life that aligns with your values, passions, and greater vision. Without a clear why, early retirees can fall into a pattern of boredom, aimlessness, or even regret. The novelty of having free time might wear off quickly if you haven't thought about what's next. Last but equally important is the need to remain flexible throughout your retirement journey. Being adaptable can make all the difference when life throws unexpected changes your way. Even the most well-thought-out retirement plans can fall apart if something unexpected comes up, like a health crisis, family emergency, or economic recession. A common mistake is not having a solid backup plan in place and being unwilling to be flexible for when things don't go as expected. Having a robust emergency fund, multiple income sources, and the flexibility to return to work if needed can make all the difference. If you're relying only on your investment portfolio and the market takes a nosedive, or if you face a major unforeseen expense, you might end up in a tight spot. Preparing for these potential bumps in the road can safeguard your financial independence and give you peace of mind. Equally important is being willing to use your backup plan when necessary. Are you okay tapping into your emergency fund if you have to? How will you handle a significant market downturn if it's your only source of income? What if you need to go back to work, potentially in a role less glamorous than your previous career? Being mentally and emotionally prepared and being willing and able to adapt is just as crucial as having a plan in the first place. Plus, it's important to stay flexible as your needs and desires change over time. We often think we know exactly what we'll want in retirement, but things can shift once we're actually living it. You might decide to pick up a pricey hobby or relocate to a new place, which could impact your financial plan. Pursuing early retirement is an exciting goal, but it comes with its challenges. People often underestimate their future expenses, overestimate how well their investments will perform, forget about taxes, ignore the emotional side of retirement, and fail to have a backup plan. To make early retirement a huge success, you need to be realistic, plan for both the financial and emotional aspects, and stay flexible. That way, you can enjoy all the freedom and possibilities that come with retiring on your own terms, without worrying about running out of money or feeling unfulfilled.